I wished I had had this information when I first started. When I first started to study this, it would make such an enormous difference. Because people are always asking, well, how? Why? What? I mean, they're forever trying to figure out, how do you really get what you want? And most people don't really believe they can have what they want. It's rather sad, but they don't. Now, the truth is, if you can tell me what you want, I can show you how to get it. You may say that's a rather arrogant statement, but it's really not. You see, I picked up a recording, way back, 61, 62, of Earl Nightingale's In the Strangest Secret. And on that record, he said, if you can tell me what you want, I'll show you how to get it. And as I was listening to it, I thought, this can't be true. But the truth is, it is true. You see, it doesn't matter whether you want a pony for the kids to take them for rides on ponies, whether you want a Maserati, whether you want to build a business, whether you want to develop a relationship. It makes no difference what you want. Everything comes to you exactly the same way. It comes by law. See, this whole universe operates in a very orderly way. And the more you study it, the more you understand that order. We say it's the law, the laws of the universe. So in this short launch that we have here, where we're talking about 4 or 5 hours, 3 or 4 hours, we'll have a lot of stuff take place. Now look here for a moment. Over the 5 days, are the frequencies of the PowerPoint's not coming up? There you are. Over the 5 days, we're going to talk about frequencies. We want to understand frequencies, vibration, and the law of attraction. Now, this is the information that really transforms lives. And you know, it's a strange thing. If a person's very successful and they're at a loss to explain why they are, they're what you call an unconscious competent. They're very competent, but they're not consciously aware of why they're doing what they're doing. And you know, that's where most people are that are very successful. I'm talking about these really high producers. You'll find them in every company. You'll certainly find them in every sales organization. They just go out and they'll sell as much in a month as the masses might sell in a whole year. And you ask them how they're doing it, they say, I don't know, I just do it. And that's the way they operate. They just do it. And they can't really tell you why. They're what you call unconscious competence. Now, I was never an unconscious competent. I was an unconscious incompetent. I just didn't know how to do anything right. And then I started to study this material, and everything in my life began to change. And it changed like night and day, it really did. And I learned then, I had 4 or 5 mentors that were just absolutely extraordinary. They were super serious students. They knew how to make it happen. They did make it happen. And they were very much into teaching others how to make it happen. And they were my teachers. They were my mentors. And they literally changed the course of my life. Now, they not only changed the course of my life, they showed me how and why my life was changing. See, if a person's an unconscious competent, they can't even pass this on to their children. And frequently, you'll find the parents super successful and the children are just sort of lost. You think, how does that happen? Well, the one person is doing something, the other person, they can't teach it because they don't understand what they're doing. They're doing it unconsciously. It's just a habit. So as we dig into this, you're going to find that we're, I think, calling it connecting the dots. We will be connecting the dots. Now, what are the dots? Well, let's look at it this way. I think everybody wants to earn more money. If you don't have enough money to live the way you want to live, you're in trouble. You're not going to live the way you want to live. If you don't have enough money, you can't do many of the things you want to do. See, money's the medium of exchange we use for other people's products or services. Most people, there's a shortage of money. It's estimated that only 4, 5, 6% of the population really understand how to earn money. Now, once you understand how to earn money, you crack the code, you've got it, you'll just keep earning it. It's, as a matter of fact, it's rather simple once you understand it. Anything's simple if you understand it. Do you remember the first time you get in to drive a car? I remember the first time I got in a car to drive it, it was a standard gear shift. We had the clutch and the brake. Now, some people don't know anything about clutches. Anybody's getting into a car now, unless they get a standard transmission, they wouldn't know what I was talking about. Well, I had the car jumping all over the place, people screaming. It took a long time to get that down, so I learned it. After I learned it, it was rather simple. Anything is simple if you understand it. If you don't understand it, it is not simple. Earning money is not a simple thing for most people. You watch some people laboring. You'll see them we spend time in Arizona, and Arizona's sitting right in the center of the desert. I mean, it gets hot there. And you'll see people working on the street, tearing up the road and putting new road down, putting new street. Hard labor. And in this burning heat. And you wonder, how do they do that? I don't know how they do it because I've never done it. But they'll tell you it's not easy to do. And they don't like doing it. But if they're doing it for the money, they're doing it to earn money. If you do not know how to earn money, you're going to have a bit of a rough life. When you do learn how to earn money, you're going to find things a lot better. Now, we will teach you how to earn money. That's one of the dots. The next one here, I think, is rather good. It's enjoying more freedom. You see, we live in a climate of freedom, but we're not free. You know, on the Korean Wall in D.C., in Washington, D.C., in the United States, carved right into the granite on the wall, it said, freedom is not free. That stuck in my mind when I saw that. Freedom is not free. And it's really not. Most people don't enjoy the freedom that they could enjoy. You know, we talked a minute ago about earning money. If you don't have any money, you're not free. If you have some money, you've got the opportunity to be. But freedom to do the things you want to do when you want to do them, with whoever you want to do them. Now, this last one here, now there's probably many more, but when we connect these, begin to live the life that you are designed to live. Do you know that you're God's highest form of creation? I want you to think of this for a moment. All the little creatures on the planet are completely at home in their environment. They blend in. They operate by instinct, which is perfect. We don't have instinct. We don't blend in. They do blend in. They're completely at home in their environment. Do you know we're totally disoriented in our environment? You and I are totally disoriented in our environment. We don't blend in. That is because we had instinct removed and higher faculties put in their place. We have perception, the will, reason, imagination, memory, intuition. We'll talk more about those later on. As you start to understand this, life changes, and it changes like night and day. Do you know, you're wondering what you're worth. We say before the atomic age, chemistry professors used to say that a person's worth, from strictly a chemical standpoint, was about $32 on the going market. It's hard to believe, isn't it? But that's strictly from a chemical standpoint, and that was before the atomic age. See, things have changed. Now let's look at this. You are a spiritual being. You're a spiritual being. Can we blow this up full screen, Tom? You're a spiritual being. Your spiritual DNA is perfect. It requires no modification, no improvement. Your spiritual DNA is all-knowing. That means knows everything, has all the knowledge, is all-powerful, has all the power. You made me wonder, what the heck is this guy talking about? I'm saying you have all the knowledge there ever was or ever will be is within you. And you have all the power. All the power you need. It's like Emerson said, do the thing, you'll get the energy to do the thing. And it's ever present, doesn't matter where you are. As I say, you could be on the street in Phoenix, or you could be in Singapore, in Yokohama, in Buenos Aires. Doesn't matter where you are, that power is there. Now keep thinking. This is the real you. Are you truly who you pretend to be? See, truth is most people don't really know who they are. They really do not know who they are. Now let's look at this for a moment. Let each one of these lines represent a level of vibration. Now you're going to find that we'll wander from here to there to different places. And as we do, you're going to learn something new about you. This is all about you. Let these lines represent levels of vibration. Okay? We refer to each level of vibration as a frequency. Now, your cell phone operates on its own frequency. Everybody's cell phone operates on its own frequency. Okay? Now keep thinking. When you get on another person's frequency, you're one with them and magic happens. Thanks, Tom. You could move those back and forth if you would. Thank you. All right. Now, think about that for a moment. It doesn't matter where you are. If I have your number in my phone and I hit send, bang, like that, your phone will ring. Now, you may be in Buenos Aires and I could be in Toronto. We're connected because we're on the same frequency. See all those lines? There's an infinite number of frequency. Let me explain it another way. When I was a young boy, we didn't have a phone. We did not have a phone. I remember when we first got a phone. It was black. They put it on the wall. And the number was Oxford 3137. And when we got on that phone to talk to somebody, the voices kept getting fainter and fainter because it was what you call a party line. There was probably 50 people that are all in the same frequency. Now, we all have our own frequency today because we learned there's an infinite number of frequencies. Think of the number of people that have phones. They all have their own frequency. Number that have computer, they all have their own frequency. There's an infinite number of frequencies. When you get on another person's frequency, you're communicating with them with the phone. Now, you can get on another person's frequency mentally. We call that telepathic communication. Now, I'm not going to get into that today, but we do that. We know that's happened. You understand that. You may not understand it, but you've heard of it. When you're on the same frequency with another person, magic happens. Now, stay with me. Blow it up, Tom. Everything you want is also on its own frequency. Now, I want you to join together what I'm talking about here. This is pretty big. Everything you want is also on its own frequency. When you become one with it, you attract it to you. It just comes to you like little gold dust in the ether. See, is that how it happens? That's exactly how it happens. Why wouldn't they teach us this in school? Well, main reason they don't teach us is they don't know it. And if they don't know it, they can't teach it. Now, just see, some of what I'm going to tell you is going to seem far-fetched. You'll seem out of the box. But you know, it's very real. And it works like magic. Look at your present results. I want you to look at your present results. Look at the money you're earning, the relationships that you have. Look at your present results right now. You can only attract what you're in harmony with. Your present results indicate the vibration that you're operating, the frequency that you're operating on. You can't attract something that you're not in harmony with. If you don't have my number, you're not going to get me on the phone. If you do have my number, the odds are pretty good you can get me on my phone. Now think. It's pretty important, you see. Energy attracts like energy. Look at that. Look at that. Energy attracts like energy. Look at this for a moment. Here, I want to share something with you. Make a decision to become one with what you want. Make a decision to become one with what you want. In other words, fill your mind with it, okay? Make a decision. Now, I want you to think of this for a moment. Everything that happens in your life begins in your mind. It's all about the mind. Your mind, your marvelous mind. How much do you know about the mind? See, when I started studying, I knew nothing about the mind. Look at this. Remember we said you're worth about $32? Things have changed. That was before the atomic age. Scientists now calculate that if the electronic energy in the hydrogen atoms of your body could be utilized, you could supply all of the electrical needs of a large, highly industrialized country for nearly a week. I'm going to repeat that. Scientists now calculate that if the electronic energy in the hydrogen atoms of your body could be utilized, you could supply all of the electrical needs of a large, highly industrialized country for nearly a week. I mean, I don't know about you, but I can't even get my imagination to go there. It's pretty wild. You want to change your life? Look what Buckminster Fuller said. He said, you never change things by fighting existing reality. Never. You change things by building a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. Now, we intend to show you a new model. That's exactly what we're building. And we're laying a foundation for it. Hopefully you get it. Now look here. A DuPont scientist said that the atoms of your body contain a potential energy of more than 11 million kilowatt hours per pound. By this estimate, the average person is worth about $85 billion. Stock went up, didn't it, from $32 to $85 billion. How did it go up? Awareness. We become more aware of what we're made of. You see, as you and I become more aware of what makes us tick, we're away to the races. Okay? Now look here for a moment. You can create your own future. You really can. You can create your own economy. You can create your own future. It doesn't happen by accident. It happens by design. Now, do you know that most people are extras in their own movie? They're extras. Somebody else is the star. They're not the star. They're extras in their own movie. Now, that's rather sad, but that's the way it is. Now, ask yourself, what do you really want? You see, you're really the director of your movie. You're the director. You're the director of your own movie. That's so important that we start to understand that. We keep thinking other people are in charge of us. We get a job and we think somebody else dictates how well we're going to do. It's not the way it works. It's the way it's working for most people, but it's not a good way to work it. Now, what do you really want? Because you are the director. Now, look at this for a moment. We say, moreover, the electrons in the atoms of your body are not just particles of matter. They are waves of living energy. And these waves ripple and spread themselves in patterns of light. As they move, they sing. Not only do they sing, they shine. If you would stand in front of an infrared television camera in a completely dark room, that screen would show you from top to toe as a glistening, radiating, gleaming form. Now, we've been telling you for years that you're a massive energy and you function on frequencies. Here you are. Just look at that. Glowing, glistening, radiating, gleaming form. Do you know there's no end to what we can do? I love the way Neville put it. He said, we're only limited by weakness of attention and poverty of imagination. There's no limit to what you can do. Now, I don't know what you want to do, but I do know this. You can do it. If you will, just go along and trust us. Just trust me. If you'll do exactly what I tell you until you find out I'm lying or I don't know what I'm talking about, you could be an enormous winner. I had a man say that to me one time. Changed my life. And it will change yours. Now, there's two things you have to know if you want to live your dream. So let's look at them. You've got to know where you are. Then you've got to know where you're going, and you've got to get moving in that direction. Now, that is so basic and so simple, and yet most people miss it. That is the way to live your dream. There's two things that you must know to live your dream. I want you to think, what is your dream? Many people live in the north, and they like to have a place in the south. Many people in the south like to have a place in the north. You'll find some people who like to move to another country. And you'll find that some do. But the majority of the ones that want to move, they never leave. They stay where they are. They stay where they are until their death. They don't live the way they really want to live. Life is very short. You know, I just turned 87 a little while ago. And it gets you thinking about age when you get up around 90, you know. Most of the people I grew up and hung out with, they're gone. I mean, long gone. Or they're in some old home somewhere knitting. You see, most people never learn how to live. I want you to stop and think. Pay attention to where you are and then where you want to go. Because that's what makes the difference. Now, that's so simple and so easy. You have to ask, why are so many people stuck? Well, they're stuck because they don't understand this. They just don't understand it. They think the problem is no goals. A lot of people think that. And in fact, I used to say that. The problem lies right here. The problem lies where people are. They're being controlled by paradigms. Paradigms control their life. Now, here's the real big problem. Paradigms are controlling their life, and they don't even know what a paradigm is. That's rather sad, but it's also true. It's just the way it is. Now, let me share with you what happened to me. I had a man sit down with me in 1961. He put an R on a sheet of paper. He said, Bob, let that R represent results. I want you to do that. I want you to look at your results. Look at what you're doing. Look at how you're living. Look at what you're earning. That's what he said to me. Look at your results. Then he put 3 letters down beside it, 2 H's and a W. Now he said, that's happiness, health, and wealth, Bob. And then he asked me, he said, do you think I'm a happy guy? And I had to admit I thought he was. He said, have you ever seen me sick? I hadn't. He said, have you ever seen me when I was broke? Do you know, that's the one point I noticed about this guy. He always had money. Always had money on him. I never had any. I never had any. You see, I was earning $4,000 a year at the time, and I owed $6,000. I was in bad shape. Now, this in 1961. $6,000 is a lot of money. It took me 18 months to earn $6,000. That's what I owed. So if I had paid everything I earned for 18 months, I would have just broken even. And I couldn't even imagine myself doing that. Now think. I didn't owe it in one place. I owed it all over the place. 100 here, 200 there. My life was consumed with debt. When are you going to pay me? Where's the money? And that was going on all the time. And I didn't know where the money was, and I didn't know where it was going to come from. That was an enormous problem with me. He said, Bob, why don't you change your results? Never entered my mind. You'd say, well, if your results were like that, why wouldn't you think of changing them? Do you know something? I'm not an exception here. I'm the rule. Most people are in this position, and they don't think of changing their results because they're consumed with the problem. They're consumed with the debt. They're trying to figure out how to get out of debt. They have no idea how they're going to get out of debt. That's all they think of is debt, debt, debt. They never think of earning money. You'll say, well, they must think of it. No, they don't. No, they don't. And they've never been taught how to earn money. Now look at this for a moment. He said, do you ever read anything? And I said, no, I can't read. And that's when he gave me this book. Do you know, I've read this book every day now since October the 21st, 1961. The book has literally fallen apart. Look at it. See? Pages are coming out of it. I'll show you right here. There's pages coming out of it. The book is, here's the pages coming out. Book's been around a long time, 60 years. And I started to study this. I said, Bob, if you will study this book and do exactly what I tell you, you can have anything you want. I didn't believe that. How could I believe that? I was consumed with debt. He said, do exactly what I tell you until you find out I'm lying or I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know why. I mean, I had people trying to help me all my life. I was 26. I'd been out of the Canadian Navy. I had jobs, factories all over the place. Didn't know how to change anything. I was in bad shape. He was making me to become acutely aware of just exactly where I was. And then he said, do you ever read? And I said, I can't read. Now, that wasn't true. I could, not well, but I could. Do you know, I've since found out that I read it about as well as most people. Most people read it about a grade 7 level. And that's because they learn by the time to read by the time they're in grade 7. And then they improve. They never improve upon the skill from that point on. They just eyes one words. I got this and I did exactly what he said. Now look at it. First year, my income went from $4,000 to $175,000. You may think, what are you doing, robbing banks? No, I was washing floors. You see, the first thing he had me do was sit down and decide on a goal. And he had me write it on a card. And on the back of a card was a quote by Earl Nightingale. It said, this great dream, this surging dynamic dynamic thing, invisible to all the world except to the person who holds it, is responsible for every great advance of humankind. You write your goal on the card. You carry it in your pocket. And he said, what do you really want? I said, $25,000. Now, asking for $25,000 in 1961 would be like you asking for $4 or $5 million today. It just happened like that. See, I really didn't believe it would happen. But you know what it did? It got me thinking of earning money. Now, prior to that, I wasn't thinking of earning money. I was thinking of debt. If your goal is to get out of debt, listen carefully. You're going to be in debt forever. If that's your goal, because whatever you think about, you're attracting. Ultimately, you're attracting to you. You're an electronic instrument. This thing you're living in is a dynamic object. It's an electronic instrument. It sends off energy and it attracts energy. Now, we'll get into that more as we go along, but the trick now is to decide what you want. I said, I want $25,000. I didn't believe I'd ever get it, but he said, write it on the card. Now, do you know what happened? Because I wrote it on the card, he said, keep reading the card. I was sort of doing it to amuse myself or amuse him, but I kept reading it. It got me thinking of earning money. And I heard a guy, his name was Al Phillips. He said, there's good money cleaning floors. I'm not proud of cleaning floors. You see, because I was reading that card, I was open to it. I was hearing people talking about money. Prior to that, I didn't hear it. And so I started to play with this. I started to think, how does this happen? And I kept playing with it. There's good money cleaning floors. I started to clean one office. I had to borrow $1,000, and that was an easy thing to do because I wouldn't have lent me money. It's not that I was dishonest, it's just that I never had the money to pay back. But I had to borrow $1,000 to buy some buckets and mops to go out and clean the floors. I got one office, Canada Starch. It was on Comstock Road in Toronto. I washed the floor twice a month. I got $15 a time for washing the floor. Then I got a contract to clean the office of Kirby's Construction on Wicksteed Avenue in Toronto. I got $65 a month to clean that office. Now I'm moving towards 25% of what I was earning. I kept doing this. I got another office. Do you know, in less than 5 years, I was cleaning offices in Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Cleveland, Atlanta, and London, England, and the income had shot up to over $1 million. I had no idea what I was doing. I just washing floors. Now, this was happening like magic. It was really happening like magic. Now, I would like to lead you to the path that this book has kept me on for the past 60 years. That's what these 4 or 5 days are all about. Now, I say this because I want you to take me serious. I want you to get into this. Don't miss a day. Be here every day, right on time. 11 o'clock Eastern Time, be here. Take notes. Watch it with someone. Discuss what I'm saying. I know what I'm talking about. In fact, I'm damn good at it. I'm very good at what I'm teaching. I'm not much good at anything else, but I don't want to do anything else. I have found that people who really do well at something, they get very good at what they're doing. They may not be very good at anything else, but they don't have to do anything else. I have people cutting my lawn, clean my pool, painting the place. I don't have to do any of those things because I earn enough money that I can pay somebody else to do it. Will you fall in love with what you're doing? That's why it's so important you do what you want to do. What do you really love to do? You can have anything you want. I want to lead you to the path that this book has kept me on for nearly 60 years. It's helped me earn millions of dollars, literally millions of dollars. I'm still going strong at 87. Maybe slowing down a little, but not much. I have no intentions of slowing down. I've got big goals. Those goals must be reached. I must work toward them. So I will be here doing the job that has to be done. I want you to listen carefully to me. You can create your own economy. You can create your own future. This is all very real. This is not pie in the sky. This is pure science. You are a spiritual being. You live in a physical body, and you correspond with the material universe. Everything happens by law. Now, to be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm. If you're not willing and able to change your paradigm, nothing will change. Now, you may not even know what a paradigm is. But if you've got a goal, and you really want to reach that goal, you're going to have to work on the paradigm. I'll show you what it is. I'll not only show you what it is, I'm going to show you how to change it. And I'm really good at this. I really am. Like I say, I'm not much good at anything else. But I shouldn't be too good at anything else because I don't do anything else. This is where I spend all my time. I love it. Now, let's look at the mind and paradigms. What I'm going to show you here, a man named Leland van der Waal showed me. God bless him, he's gone now. I loved him. I really did. He was an extraordinary guy. He was as different as anybody you will ever meet. He dressed different. He lived different. He walked and worked different. But I'm going to tell you, this guy was a giant at what he did. And he and I became, as they say, thick as thieves. We did a lot of work together. I locked onto him. He wasn't going to get out of my sight because he really understood something. And he said this to me. He said, let's look at the mind, Bob. In fact, let's look at your mind and your paradigms. Now, I'm going to show you exactly what he showed me. If you'll do exactly what I did, you can have what I've got. I earn millions of dollars. I have a beautiful home. I have friends all over the world. If I can do this, you can do this. There's no secret. Now look it. In 1934, Dr. Thurman Fleet was very involved in the healing arts and holistic health. That happened to be the year I was born. You say, my God, and you're still here. I mean, that's a long time ago, you know. Well, Fleet stated, the mind is an activity, it's not a thing. It's an activity. He said, no one has ever seen the mind. In order to gain clarity and eliminate confusion, I'm going to create an image that you can work with. Nobody had ever seen the mind. Most people think of the mind, they think of the brain. Your brain is not your mind any more than your fingernail is. Brain is movement or activity. Mind is activity. The brain is a thing in your head. It's a mass of molecules. Now look at. He said, there's the mind. And he drew a line through the center of it. Now look at this. It looks like we're making a kid's comic book. But I'm going to tell you, this really will wake you up. The big circle represents the mind. The small circle represents the body. The top half of the big circle is the conscious. The bottom half is the subconscious. And the body is the instrument of the mind. Now look at. I told you that I had picked this up in 1961. This Think and Grow Rich book. And I started to study it. But I'm going to tell you this. This idea is the most valuable idea I have ever learned in my entire life. Pay very close attention to this. And if somebody laughs when you go to show it to them, don't let that stop you. People will laugh. They'll say, oh, this is silly. What do you know about the mind? Well, I'm going to tell you, you can say quite a bit if you just listen to us for the 5 days that we're broadcasting this. Listen carefully. Now look it. You are a spiritual being. You're a spiritual being. You're 100% evenly present in all places at the same time. Now that sounds right out of the box, doesn't it? But that's what it is. Ask any theologian and they'll tell you. I don't mean the guy with the Roman collar. I'm talking about the real, true theologians. I remember sitting across from a priest one time at a wedding. And I asked him how many theologians he knew real well. He said 2. And he said most of them taught him at some point. But he didn't know them real well. He said real well, but then he explained that it wasn't that close a relationship. Spirit is 100% evenly present in all places at the same time, and you are a spiritual being. Now stay with me here. This is very important. The highest part of you is the spiritual side. The lowest part is the physical side. The physical is the instrument you live in. And then right there in the center, you have the intellect. Now it's the intellect that enables us to tap into the spirit to change the physical. This doesn't happen by accident. There's a design. It operates by law. It's a perfect connection. Now, do you see those lines? They're all hooked together. They are all hooked together like the colors of a rainbow. Every frequency is hooked up to the one above and the one below. There isn't any line of demarcation where one stops and another starts. They're all hooked together. So stay with me. Now look here. There you are again. Okay? There's the conscious, the subconscious, and the body. Okay? Now, the conscious is your thinking mind. You can think. You can think. This is your educated mind. This is where you'll figure things out. This is where your intellect is resident. Now, personally, I think there's too much focus on the intellect and not enough on the spiritual side. That's just my opinion. Okay? Now, let's go on the other side. The subconscious is your emotional mind. Now, you know when you get emotionally upset, stop thinking, why did you get emotionally upset? Well, she upset me. She can't upset you. He made me angry. He can't make you angry. See, we do this to ourselves. We permit other people's ideas to go zoom right into our subconscious mind. Now, blow it up again, Tom. Thanks. Okay? So stay with me here. Because you can think, you can choose. You can choose the kind of life you want to live. You have the ability to accept or reject everything that comes down the road. You don't have to accept it. Think of all the negative news there is all over the world today. You don't have to accept that. You can reject it. You don't have to spend any time thinking about it. You say, well, you've got to stay up with things. No, you don't. Let it go. If there's anything of real importance, you'll hear about it as you go through your day. Study something that'll help you. Okay? Now, this is also where you have the ability to originate information. You can choose, you can accept or reject, you can originate. Now, look down here on the subconscious part, on the emotional. Your emotional mind must accept whatever you give to it. It has absolutely no ability to reject. It must accept everything. Okay? Now stay with me. This is so important, and yet we're missing it. Okay? The subconscious mind cannot differentiate between that which is real and that which is imagined. Whatever you turn over to the subconscious mind accepts it as real. So look here. Here we are here today. We go along. There's all kinds of information flooding into our consciousness. It comes from the radio, from other people, from TV, internet. It comes flowing into our conscious mind. Because we have a reasoning factor, because that's our thinker, we have the ability to reject that and just say, get out of here. Just get out of here. You see? You don't have to accept it. But you know something? We don't do that. We don't reject all that negative information. You know what we do? We leave our mind wide open, and it goes right into our subconscious mind. Now, remember we said the subconscious mind has no ability to reject. It'll accept anything you give to it. Now, that's rather sad, and that's how a paradigm is built. Let's take a closer look how the paradigm's built. Here we are here. This is the baby. This is the baby here, okay? Here's the baby. You're an infant, and information is being dumped right into the baby's mind. A brand new baby accepts everything that comes its way. It just dumps the idea into the subconscious mind. The baby has no ability to reject it. That's how the baby's self-image is formed. Okay? That's rather strange, but that's the way it works. You know, Robert Heinlein, way back in the 60s, he was a science fiction writer. He said, in absence of clearly defined goals, we become strangely loyal to performing daily trivia until we ultimately become enslaved by it. We just accept all kinds of junk until we become enslaved by it. It starts to control our life. Now let's stop and change this. Let's ask ourselves, why are we doing this? We're doing it because we don't have the ability to reject it. We're infants. We're just little babies. And that's how a paradigm's formed. The paradigms are the ideas that go into the subconscious mind. And here we are here, years later, 20, 40, 50 years later, and we're doing exactly the same thing. Subconscious mind is wide open. Let me explain it another way. Here's a baby, brand new baby, beautiful little child. I've got some great-grandchildren that look like this. Okay? Look at, there's the graphic illustration of a baby. This is what we use. It's a graphic illustration of the baby. Okay? And that baby's subconscious mind is wide open. Everything that's happening in the baby's environment is going directly into the baby's subconscious mind. It's forming there in the subconscious mind. We become a product of our environment. Okay? This is how the baby's image of themselves is formed. And you'll see people, you know they have very low self-esteem. They won't look at you. They never step out and do anything. Their social life is almost non-existent. And that's how a paradigm's formed. See, the self-image is just one idea. The paradigm is a multitude of ideas that are fixed in the subconscious mind. That's rather sad, but that's the way it works. And here we are here. Here's the baby. Conscious mind's forming. The baby can see, hear, smell, taste, touch. And they have intellectual factors, perception, the will, imagination, memory, intuition, and reason. Now, this is the way they really look. See those antennas sticking up there? They're the senses. And you know, most people are controlled by what's going on there. It's rather sad. School begins. Do they teach them anything about these higher faculties? They don't even know anything about them. They're taught nothing about them. That child is taught, every child is taught, to live through their senses. Go by what you see, hear, smell, taste, touch. Now, I got this here quickly, and then I'm going to switch this over to Tommy, I think. There's the mind, okay? That's the mind. Now stay with me. And keep in mind, we've only been on here for 45 minutes. Now you're going to get 5 hours with us. This is 45 minutes. We've shared a lot of information. There's the mind. We take the mind, divide it in two parts, conscious and unconscious, or subconscious. Now, most people are programmed to live by their senses. They go by what they see, hear, smell, taste, touch. And they are like antennae. And they just stick out of the conscious mind. The conscious mind, though, is also the intellectual mind. And we should understand that. That's where the intellect is resident. And you have these higher faculties. And we should look at them, because they're what help us create our life. The problem is we've never been taught how to use those. We have never been taught how to use them. You see, it's these higher faculties that enable us to change what's going on in the emotional mind. You remember that's where the paradigm is. Rather sad. Okay? Now, I think we may go over time today. Their school gave us valuable knowledge. However, school never taught us how to change the paradigm. So stay with me here. This is so important. Therefore, we frequently don't do what we already know how to do. Now think of what I'm saying. People don't do what they already know how to do. See, people know how to be a lot more successful than they are, but they don't do it. Why don't they? It's because of the paradigm. You see, they have superior knowledge, inferior results. That causes confusion and frustration. Now let's look here. We'll use the model that we've used up to this point. There's all the studying in school is crammed into the conscious mind. In the subconscious mind, you'll never find it in the subconscious, so they don't get the results they want. The results they get in their life don't match the level of intellectual study they've done. What is the problem? The paradigm is controlling the results. Hopefully, you have seen enough here that you want to make sure you're here 11 o'clock right on the button tomorrow. Because that paradigm